Welcome back to the Boxing Day Ichthyosaur. We're shortly going to take a look at the contents of pallet 2, which contain the upper torso from the area around the dorsal forward to the rear of the skull. The bits we're actually going to look at now are from somewhere around this region, approximately, through to the back of the skull. We've also got the very tip of the rib cage where it joins onto the backbone along here. This is the very beginning of the preparation. Well, basically nothing's been done to it since it's been lifted from the beach. You will see there's some huge cracks. There's a big crack here. If I put the pencil down, you'll be able to see some idea of scale, and another big crack running all the way down through here. All that happened here is basically the shell. As the shell dries out, it shrinks, and when it shrinks, it cracks. So it really is very fragile, so it's going to take a bit of work to sort out. Just to orientate yourself, this is roughly where the skull joins on. In fact, the skull will pretty much come below here, so this chunk here that's cracked through, I'm not really expecting to find anything in that at all. So okay, what can we see? We can see a vertebra. There are a few missing along here. Some more verts here, all the way down, all the way down through here, all the way down through here, and you can't see them so well, but underneath these ribs, again there's some more verts, and this bit here joins on to the main torso, 17 verts that we talked about in the last video, run down from here. So as you can see, everything is very loose. If I just touch something there, you can see it's loose. You can see bits of rib are missing, but if I just lift this piece of newspaper, you will see, I hope, some more bits of rib. There's a bit of rib there that's loose that needs relocating in its correct place. Looks like a paddle digit there, and various other broken bits of rib. So the first exercise will be to super glue all the rib pieces, all the loose pieces back onto the block and secure it all down. What we're going to try and do here is just glue a few sections of loose rib together with super glue. Just going to get the shell debris out of the way, off the rib section, back up, make sure it is the right way around, and it is going to match up nicely. Okay, I just hold it in place for about 20 seconds. So the next thing I'm going to do is harvest some pieces of bone that have come off on the other side of the shell. I'll just demonstrate this to you. If I slide this piece of rock up to here like that, you will see that you've got a bone round here like that, rib bone. You've got the impression of one round here. You've got this bit of bone here, that one, that one. You can see, in fact, they all line up. And in fact, that little piece of bone there has to come off there and lose in just above there. So if you look at the left-hand side of the screen now, I've just about freed this piece of bone off. Of course, when it comes out, it has to be carefully located in its right position on the other side. It should, I think, just about lift out now. Ooh, there we are. There we are, that's it free. There's a nice little find. A couple of bits of rib have actually fallen down the crack. So I'm hoping there's one there, another one there. I very much hope to find where they came from and glue them in place in due course. Okay, what I'm about to do here is slide this block, the contents of pallet 2, onto this makeshift cradle with a view to cutting the main pallet down in size so that I can get pallet 1 and pallet 2 side by side on the bench and eventually offer them up for gluing. So I don't mind admitting I'm a little bit scared. There's lots of cracks running through this block. I'm expecting a few bits to fall away at the back, which I'm not too worried about. Let's hope there's no nasty surprises. Well, that was the first one. I'd actually glued this up already, but obviously not very successfully. Never mind, that's not too much to worry about. Let's see where we go from here. Well, actually, so far, I'm quite pleased with that, because this block now, the way it's packed away underneath, I know there's no bone material or anything underneath there at all. All the bone is in the first 4 or 5 millimeters of the block, and I now have a nice flat horizontal block, whereas before, as you can see, the whole thing was sloping down at about 15-20 degrees. Now the rest of the stuff that's on here, I'm 90% certain is basically shale block that I don't want. Obviously I'll go through it with a fine tooth comb, make sure I haven't lost anything. But apart from that little break there at the back, yeah, I consider that to be a success. Okay, the pallet is downsized now to something more manageable, so I'll be able to get this pallet pushed up against there, and pallet 1 with the rest of the rib cage and main body up against it, so I can offer them up. So let's carefully manoeuvre this one back into position, and let's hope we don't have any more mishaps in doing so. This piece at the back had a big chunk on it, if you remember earlier on, it broke, but luckily I managed to get my chisel and just tease it open along the same bedding plane as the rest of the block, and so eventually I'll have that glued back into place like that. And my big hope is that this bedding plane I'm on now is the same bedding plane that pallet 1 is on, which should then allow me to offer the 2 pieces up, and they should pretty much be level that way. Okay, for the first time ever, I'm now looking at block 1 and block 2, close to what will be their final position. As you can see, there is a little bit of a height difference, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mil, maybe something like that in places. So what I need to do is somehow take something off the bottom of this block all the way along, lower it till it lines up perfectly with block 1. So I'll just swing the camera around so you can see the full extent. Now what I've started to do, I'll just show you, is just take this piece away for a moment and just slide this out of the way. What I'm trying to do first of all is to reduce the thickness of this piece here so that it will slide into position and line up underneath here. Not sure what the experts at Line Ridges would think of my technique, but I can't phone them up every 5 minutes every time I have a little problem and I'm not quite sure how to deal with it. So I started off, I don't know if you can see the reflection on the back of there, filing the block down, and what I was actually using was a woodworker's heavy duty rasp. Got this at a car boot sale for a couple of quid. It does actually seem to sort of shave off a bit of stone, but it's, despite the fact it's quite coarse, it's quite a slow job. What I've decided to do next is to see if I can just saw about 5-6 millimeters off and then try it underneath. So that's the next ploy. So I'm using this little handheld saw and carefully sawing a bit off at a time. I've cut 6-7 millimeters or more off that block. Just coming into view now, I hope. It's reasonably flat. So I'm just going to offer it up now and see if it will fit. Don't know how that's come out on camera, but that's a reasonable fit, and maybe a little room for improvement yet, I don't know. What I'm going to hope to do today, and if I'm honest about it, I've been putting this day off for a long time because it fills me with trepidation, is what I need to do is take about 10 mil off the bottom of this block so that it'll level up with the main body behind. Horrible stuff, shale, you never quite know what it's going to do. So what I've done to start with is I've removed the loose ribs from various positions and the verts, marked them up, and then anywhere where I can see any nasty little cracks I've poured in a bit of super glue. Don't know if you can see, I attempt to just lift this edge up here. There's a nasty little crack running along there, and I don't want that to open up. So what I need to do is take about 10 mil off the bottom all the way along. It's not dead flat underneath either, so it's a little bit of a fiddly operation. So first things first, I'm going to mark it up all the way along, then I'm going to make an initial cut by hand with a handheld saw like I did before, and then contemplate whether or not to use a power tool on it. So that's all just for the moment. Wish me luck. So far so good. Yeah, it's just about to break away, I believe. Okay, it's been going quite well by hand up to now. This piece here is about to crack off. As you can see, the cracks open up along here. Now I really do want it to go down here if I can. So I've got a nice flat base. So I'm going to attempt to force some super glue into it and see if I can just clamp this up, see where we go from there. So hopefully that will stay nicely clamped and I can finish taking that piece off where I want to. Okay, took the clamp off, did a bit more drilling, and we're just about ready to lift off most of this piece now. Just not quite sure what's going to happen, but I'm pleased with that. Yeah, I call that a result. So I've downsized this block now, and as you can see it's close to being the right height, and I've offered up the upper part and the lower part of the rib cage, and as you can see all the ribs will line up quite nicely when I put the finishing touches to it. Okay, I've just been using some paraloid glue and applying some in here just prior to gluing some verts in place. So this piece here should slide in there like that. That's it. So it just remains to glue a few pieces in. A section of vertebrae with ribs on top. I'll just turn it over. You can actually see I've also prepped the other side, and on it you can see some of the neural arch, parts of the neural arch on there as well. So just going to glue this. For now I'm just going to place it in. As you can see, I've had to glue a section along here using araldite. Join these two blocks together, and this piece should fit quite nicely into that space there. And there we are. Just let you see along the full length of the join between the two blocks. I'm not gluing them together at this stage. I'll get all the blocks prepared before I do the next bit after that. This second video has been pretty much concerned with preparation of this block here, which just to orientate, there's one of the paddles, so the other paddle would be down here somewhere if we've got it. The skull would be up here somewhere, and there's more to go on the tail later on. So this is the second block that I've been working on here. You can see a crack all the way down here, two separate pieces. When we lifted it off the beach, there was a fault line in the shale, and it just opened up along here. But as you can see, I've managed to find most of the pieces that go in. I've still got a little box, don't know whether you can see that. Try and bring it into the picture with a few bits of rib and such like, so as time goes on I'll find another bit that fits in somewhere, another bit that fits in somewhere else. So still a little bit work in progress, but what I intend to do now is leave this block after a few more small adjustments, and then move on to the third section of the Ichthyosaur I'm going to prepare, which you will see in the next video, which actually is in the rear section of the tail. There's about another 12 or 14 vertebrae on a block, and then After that I've got about another 15 vertebrae which are loose, and that takes us down to do close to the tip of the tail. So it's been quite difficult, this second block in some ways. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. It's been an interesting journey for me. I'm kind of learning on the job, but bit by bit I think we're getting there. So that concludes the second video on preparation of the Boxing Day Ichthyosaur. Thank you for watching.